What's up, people? What's up, beautiful souls?
Hello, hello. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. So we're going to get started. Just taking some deep breaths to get grounded, being really present in our body here and now. Calling all beings of pure sovereignty and benevolence who can be of assistance in today's session to come be with us here and now. We ask for a sacred circle of protection, of love and light. We ask for clarity and ease and just a beautiful conversation between Amy and I, and that we will share in the ethers um, for some clarity on the subject that we're talking about today. We ask you to grace us with your presence and your love and your guidance. And so it is. Thank you. And so it is. Thank you. And so it is. Thank you. All right, girl, let's jump right in. We were just talking about kind of the extending from last week's session of why it's so important to call in this energy and to set our intentions, to create a safe space, to create a sacred space. What was it that you were saying? Or like what are
Yeah,
we supposed to be
the
doing?
importance of it and the whys as to why it's important to do, the benefits of doing so, energetically speaking.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love I wonder if we could talk about just some things that like we've seen in people's sessions since we're both intuitive healers, and not in a way to create any fear whatsoever. This is really, I think the reason that we're talking about this is just to empower people to know what's out there, because I think it's while I firmly believe that we are made of love and light and we can proclaim that and just be protected just by proclaiming that I am divine love and divine light. I do also, I have seen so many things in people's sessions, and I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't even know that was out there. That's crazy. So maybe even just kind of discussing some of the things that we've seen or things I'd be super curious what you've seen and experienced with Acasma. Um,
Yeah, I was thinking before we get into that, I don't know if we've even yet to introduce ourselves and like what we do.
oh yeah. Let's
Because
do
I
it.
think we're leaving everyone on like the edge of their seat for hearing now, like what do they even do?
Yes, that's so true. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you. And tell us a little bit about Acasma too. I think that would be a helpful description for us.
Yeah, yeah. Acasma actually is a new healing modality in the last few years. It actually birthed through A.L. Garris, otherwise known as Andrea Garris, and it just came through one of her Reiki sessions. She was doing some really strong Reiki it was just like a quantum leap into something. It kind of morphed, like it just something was introduced into her flow of energy, into her session spaces. Things were happening that were different than Reiki, and her clients were having such remarkable, interesting sessions, and they would be recalling and replaying all these things they saw in session, um, and things were happening within her. So she just actually just released a book. It's called Remember Who You Are, AQE Foundations, and it goes through like it's based very similar to Reiki, where there's level one, level two, level three, and master. And
Mm.
so I've gone through in this last year, went through master and had my own awakening experiences in this modality, and it was so helpful. It was so
Love.
helpful because it turned on so many dormant things that I really, these gifts and abilities that have been so helpful for me along my path and ascension growth and self-awareness and the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a quantum energy where we you can do this distance and you can do this in person or over Zoom where you see face to face, which is my preference. I love that. But also in person's ultimately the best. But where it's so nice how we can flow with how this energy can work. Um, so AQE, it works in the quantum, and I, being a practitioner, am the bridge for the person's energy field to be worked with in the quantum by the cosmic beings of light, who are multidimensional beings who are of higher dimension than ourselves. Um, so it's very, very miraculous and fun, and a lot of things come up in session spaces. Um, as your third eye gets expanded and you're able to see more and feel more, you do sense and see a lot of beings of light that come into sessions and things that are worked through in session space, like clearing the chakras, grounding, and connecting to your higher aspects of self, like reconnect, and then working with the heart space and expanding your field of love. So it's really awesome and on all fronts, very, very beneficial. And I've had a session with you or given you a session.
I
It's
was
so,
just about to say.
yeah, you
Oh
can talk
God.
about that.
Uh-huh. Oh man. So I've had sessions with Amy, and it's fascinating to me how when I am in sessions with her, like I literally can feel the energy in my body. And I should say it, like I'm pretty tapped in, and I'll like get sensations when I'm meditating, especially if I'm working on something. But it's wild when I'm working with Amy. We'll literally start to talk and I'm like, "Did you feel that?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I totally felt this crazy." Like I can't remember, there was one time where like I think there was like some kind of laser energy, like doing something like cutting or I don't even know, doing something with my energy field, and I felt it physically. Like I actually felt and was able to explain it in almost the identical way that Amy did. It's a trip. It's wild. I can literally feel where she's working and what kind of energy is being applied to the area pretty specifically. I am a body worker, so and an intuitive, and so I am pretty tapped in and able to identify in that way. But like I don't know, I feel like it just has waken up even more of an energetic like link to my intuition of like, oh, this is what I'm. It's a this is what I'm feeling, and be really descriptive with what it is, um,
Yeah.
based on that. It's awesome, so much fun.
Yeah. And you are incredibly gifted. And I'll talk about my story a little bit when I worked with you, but the Acasma meets you where you are at. So it doesn't do anything that's too much for you or that's going to be turning on anything you don't want turned on. It meets exactly where you are, and it just like soothes, cleans, clears, and upgrades your energy system
Yeah,
to that affects your whole body.
yeah.
It's really remarkable. And you're the first person I worked with that was actually intuitively open and active and working in this field. I'd just been working on my family members for a long time and a few friends, but weren't quite as open as yourself. And so when I we first worked together, that whole session that blew my mind as far as what was capable of during sessions.
Yeah,
Because I love the feedback. I
yeah,
love the validation because validation's like it's like self-recognition of like, oh, I did see that or I did feel that and it was correct. They're feeling the same thing.
yeah, yeah,
It was
totally.
really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you're at now, and how people can get a
Right.
hold of you if they're interested in services with you?
Yeah. So I have a store up on Etsy and it's called Acasma Essence. And yeah, I just book sessions there and I work either in the quantum, where it's consciousness to consciousness. I'm working with someone, I send a link over to you to listen to. And Or my favorite is to work on Zoom with a person face to face so we can do the interactive work where we can, communicate what's going on, what they're seeing, what you're seeing. And it's really, really powerful and potent. So yeah, I'm right there right now. I'm building my website as we speak, and it's always a fun joy to do that. I'm not technically inclined, so it's a little bit of a I have to do my homework and figure it out. But yeah, I just moved from California. I lived where Allie lived, and I moved to Montana recently in the last year. So it's a huge move, and it's wonderful. I love the space we're in now. I've always loved Montana, so it's perfect. Yeah. But it's sad. I mean, like I really miss all of my, girlfriends back there in Humboldt.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's a big move. It's a
It
big,
is. It is. Just
especially when you
going.
spent like your whole life here. That's and
Mhm.
and and now you're out there experiencing life, but it sounds like it's amazing and I'm super excited for you. So,
Yeah, it's just a matter of, calling in the tribe of mutual like-minded friends with that strong intention. I mean, that's honestly how I met you.
yep.
Um, Back during the lockdown, I'm like, I need to meet like-minded friends like pronto. And,
Yeah.
remember those, we started having circle
Yeah. Yep.
and
It's so
it
funny,
grew.
didn't you? I think it's hilarious. Like we all kind of started doing our like I started a moon gathering, a moon circle gathering, like I think it was like a year before COVID was even heard of, maybe even
Uh-huh.
more than a year before, but I never really got a momentum. And then like three other people kind of started the same thing. I think you were one of them, right?
Yeah.
And then we all ended up coming together and being like, "Oh my gosh, we tried doing this." And like we finally made it happen during
Mhm.
the pandemic. So,
It was like, yeah, it was like the first month of lockdown. We're like,
yeah,
no.
it's time. So,
Yes.
oh, awesome. Well, thanks for introducing yourself. I'll give a little bit about myself now too.
Yeah.
So I'm up here in Humboldt, California. Um, I've been doing body work for half my life, 19 years, and I did it actually right out of high school. I had six brothers, and three of which that I lived with for most of my life, and um, they were always getting hurt in sports or this or that. And then my mom had fibromyalgia from the age of 12, and so I just loved being able to help people feel better. And that was like a big passion of mine. And then I realized I was damn good at it. So right after high school, I went in to do massage. And I happened to just pick a program that was much more enlightened than like most other programs were like just massage. I went into a program that taught me how to meditate. And like I was brand spanking new. I was 18 when I went in. I was 19, I think, when I was done. And I was the youngest of my class, and everyone else was kind of starting their second career, and I just kind of always thought it was going to be something I like fell back on. It was like a little side hustle, if I needed
Mhm.
it, to supplement my income. And I never really thought it would be like a full-on career, but it definitely is the passion of my life. I absolutely love it. And probably about for the last 7-ish years, I don't know exactly when it started, maybe even 8 years now. I was really getting deep into my awakening process, my enlightenment process, and I um, was meditating a lot and started getting a lot of intuitive hits and communicating with beings that I wasn't sure exactly what was happening. And it's taken me years, literally years, to figure out what I'm doing and put words to it. But I call myself a channel, a bridge from people's higher selves to their physical beings, from people to their higher selves. So I actually just wrote something up the other day. I'm going to read it real quick. I have it pulled up. So I just read this the other day to give some clarity to myself and to others because it is just complicated and it's not something like I went to school for. It just kind of started happening. So,
Yeah.
um, so I help humans who struggle with connecting to their higher selves, to open to their own inner healing and guidance. When they work with me, they receive healing messages and energies from aspects of their higher selves that they most need at the time of each session. It helps them to rediscover their connection to their higher selves and empower themselves with some ways to care for their physical, spiritual, and or mental health.
Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, I was super excited to put some words to it. Finally, it feels like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I do. And I,
Perfect.
yeah.
Aside from being worked on physically, you get all of this information from your higher self during a session.
Hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I do them virtually too. And I've noticed I actually just started doing them virtually
Mhm.
probably like 9 months ago now. And I've noticed like it's really interesting how different the energies come in. So when I'm doing it virtually, I'm really able to just focus on that person and what we're dealing with. And then when I'm doing body work, it's a twofer, you're getting two
Yeah.
services for, a discounted price. And you feel great after. But it's just a little less focused, I've noticed, because I'm like, oh, body and soul stuff. So it's a little more convoluted than like straight to the point, like this is what it is, and really being able to connect and feel the energies of the beings that are with me at the time. It's fascinating. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad I booked that session with you. What was it, a few years ago? And it was really remarkable.
And it's so interesting because people don't know what to expect. They're just like, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. So you're either down for the ride or you're not, it's not, it's,
I know. And for those people who don't, like, they're aware of what you do, but they're like, yeah, just the massage. That's
yeah,
good for me. Thanks.
yep, yep, yep,
A
totally.
lot of
Yeah,
people.
I
Mhm.
definitely have those too. And I love helping them just as much. And I still, it's interesting. I still I actually just meditated. I had a meditation today where I was releasing all my clients' stuff that gets stuck with me. And I'm really good at releasing everything. But after 19 years of doing this,
Yeah,
I that practice is really wholesome, but there's still just little things that, I'm thinking about my clients constantly. I'm like, oh, how can I help this person? I'm gonna go research this so I can help them more and figure out things that will help them more. And so I'm constantly thinking about how I can help people more. and
yeah.
um and even when it comes to doing massage, I'm still in that session, like being the channel of God source energy. And I forgot to mention that I became a Reiki master 19 years ago in massage school. But I don't really tap into that. But I see myself as a channel for whatever energy they need at that time. So like I'm always calling in my clients' highest good, highest timeline, highest path, highest wellness, highest happiness, like everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important. But it is, maybe we can kind of go into, just segue straight into um, when we're dealing with our clients and what we see with them or on them, or what we've I guess just known of all this time in our awakening of like what is around us, and what can be in our clients' fields. It's
Mhm.
an interesting thing to see. Do you see it when you do a cosmet? Are you seeing it?
I honestly have experience with I because I intend on only seeing the highest um good for them. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see the negative aspects. I really only see like their guidance team and any ascended masters who are working with them. Um, and I'm just starting to see a little bit of galactic and like hearing names. It's mostly auditory at this point, but I do visually see, I get like an image that gives
Okay.
me an indication of like who's around them.
Okay.
And this working with them, or I had a session this morning, and with this one person I have never ever seen white buffalo woman in a session besides with this one lady. And I'm like, and it just popped in my mind, her name, and I saw an image and what she was doing. And what she was conveying. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So it's just being open to receive, like giving the guidance and giving, and the recommendation of her getting a drum would be really good for this girl to help with her own healing, cellular healing
Wow.
through the sound frequency of the drum.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, it was really cool. And, it's cool. I mean, it just surprised me. I'm like, oh, she's here again.
Yeah.
Because I never really see her or nor think about her. I read about her in the Sophia Code. Um,
Okay.
there's a reference to her, and I've heard of her before, of course. But when you're in session and you're focused and you're open, you're just receiving. I receive auditory and visual, but you receive it in a whole different way. I mean, it's similar, but I don't know.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it's a whole different way, bro. Like, honestly, it first started. I remember trying to explain this to people like before I even had my daughter. They're like, "What do you feel?" And I used to say it's a vibration. All I feel is a vibration, and different sounds put off different vibration, different
Mhm.
it's like it's almost like hearing a different song. It's a different frequency, and I feel it more. But then like as I developed these gifts, and I believed in them, and I meditated, and I grew them, with time and experience and practice,
Yeah.
and trusting what I was getting, because a lot of it was like, no, no, that's just that's just my imagination or whatever. Like, even
Yeah.
growing up in foster care, I would say things, and they, like, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was literally hanging out with these beings when I was a kid, and I definitely had dark beings with me by some of the things I experienced as a kid, and they literally wrote me off as crazy, like, and put me on all these medications. And I mean, they, like, as a young kid, like I'm talking 5, 7, I had all these psychiatric evaluations done, and I was saying I was hearing these people talking to me, and I did. um and so now I know who they are, and I can discern the difference. And so um I don't even remember how I got on that tangent. Oh, how it started from vibration to then practicing what each thing was. Like, now I can, sometimes I see them really clearly. Sometimes I just hear them really clearly. Sometimes I feel their presence really clearly. I can
Mhm.
feel if they're masculine or feminine or both or balanced or whatever. I can feel kind of what they're wearing, but I say I feel it more than I can see it or hear it, because it's not necessarily just seeing it. Like, I feel into who pops into my stuff. But when it comes to, I always call it negative entities.
Mhm.
um I don't remember how that first started. um but I would just, there's a couple different ones that I've seen different ways. Like, sometimes it'll be like a sludge. I That's what I call it. It's almost like a tar like energy that will just kind of be like almost droopy or dripping around a certain area in somebody's body.
Mhm.
um Sometimes I can tell where they came from, where they originated, who they're feeding off of, that kind of thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like a tick, a tiny little itty bitty thing that grows and grows or stays the same size. Sometimes it's an actual being that's moving and has, I don't
Mhm.
want to call them limbs, but
Mhm.
appendages maybe. So it's so different for everyone. Um, and I find it so fascinating to feel that. And I feel like the only reason it comes through for me is either because I don't usually tap into them unless somebody is asking directly about somebody else who has them. I don't usually see them on my clients. And if I do, it's really easy to detach them. But when it's somebody else, is more, it's like, oh, my stepson is dealing with this, or my brother or my sister or my auntie or blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it has to do with mental health stuff. I've noticed that's been a more.
Well, yeah, and exactly. I think it is mental health because mental health, when you're having a struggle with your mental body, when it's unbalanced, which we all have experience with. We have all been depressed, we've all been anxious.
Mm-hmm.
But when it goes on an extended period of time, that lowers your vibration, and that's when you become like an opening for these like lower vibrational energies to attach to. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take very long. It's like really, they're very sneaky. And they can attach to yourself, and you don't feel it. You don't necessarily feel it right away, or you do. If you're sensitive, you do.
Right.
But then you just feel sluggish, and you have all these weird symptoms you don't normally have, right? But it affects your physical body, it affects your emotional body. So it's really hard to pinpoint unless you have a work with a healer of some sort who work with this energy and see it or sense it, to give a name to it. But that's so helpful that you're able to do that for people. Um,
Yeah.
and I've had my own experiences with this, as I was awakening and I was raising my vibration, I was healing myself. There would be moments where I was having, I was in a depressive state, and then I would get an attachment just because I'm an empathic sponge. I do absorb so much from around me, and because I'm such a helper, right? I'm a helper. I'll help you.
Right.
I'll take it on, and then I'll take these things on, and I'll have a physical response like a rash, or I'll just be, I don't know, it got really weird for a while for me until I figured out it's just my own awakening to how to help myself not do this and raise my vibration, and do the protective work when you need it. I don't need to do this now, but I did at one point.
Yeah. This is a really interesting point. I'm talking to a friend right now who's kind of awakening. She's open to some of the things that we've talked about, but I think this is a great way to start. I'm doing a session with her on Tuesday, so I don't know what she's dealing with, but
Mhm.
I have linked it specifically to mental health. Um, a lot of times, it's some kind of energy that is feeding off of the imbalance or um instability, or there's so many words to explain what that feels like. For everyone is different, but I wonder what you would suggest for someone who is overwhelmed by all the ways that you could step onto the enlightened path, but dealing with some serious mental health
Mhm.
issues, and
Where do you
where they're
start?
yeah, like where to even start. Yeah, where do you even start with that? Like,
Mhm. Well, what's coming is like these negative attachments, we'll call them because it sounds best. Because you can call them anything.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can call
yeah,
them all sorts of bad words, but like,
right.
or negative images, negative words. But those negative attachments, they come and they're feeding off of the one and only thing they're feeding off of is fear. It's
Mm,
it's the vibration of fear.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, like, I mean, we've all been in fear states and for periods of time, but like we do have, once we're aware, it's all down to awareness and asking yourself and your higher self, you know, do I have something in my field that's not in my highest and best good? Where is my fear really stemming from? And it could be all sorts of things. But this is where we begin on the journey. We try to feel into what the fears are. And they're scary, right? We don't want to look at them. But if you're really on the path, you do this work, and this is what we're being all called to do right now. Looking at those spaces within to heal the fear.
Yeah.
The root of fear is, in the trauma work, in the inner child work. Um, and there's different modalities to help with all of these things. But what helped me when I was in this state was the emotion code. The emotion code really helped me in my logical, like 3D brain, understand and give a name to what I was holding within me. And then I would be like, oh, because you can go back, you can find pinpoint wherever the trapped emotion is. There's a chart within motion code. You muscle test to figure out what emotion's trapped. You can find out where it is. You can find out what age it occurred. You can find out who it was with, maybe if it's inherited, what side of the family it's from,
What?
how
Girl,
many
what is
generations
this? I
back
did
you
not
can
know about this.
go.
Wow.
It's so fun. So I filled notebooks of trapped emotions, and then I kind of just modified it to suit, as I did this for a few years, it seems, on myself only, like, and then helped other people, because I found it so transformative and so easy. And it's so
Yeah.
empowering because you're able to be like, whoa. And you do feel better. Like, I actually had this done by another healer, who just did 5 emotions. She just released 5 trapped emotions. And I was like, I felt amazing afterwards. And it was like my introduction to it. And then
Wow.
I'm like, I need to learn this. And so I read the book and I just implemented this modality into my life, and it really made a difference. Lifting
Wow.
lifting a lot of the trapped emotions which hold the fear. So if you release the fear bit by bit, or you can become aware. And it's not like overnight. It's not like next month I'll be better. It's a continual working on releasing the layers of trapped fear, trapped trauma, trapped pain. Um, you know, and it's a journey.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Dude, I be telling people all the time to, look within and find where this trauma is happening or what's being triggered, but for you to like literally have a
Mm,
um
a
what do they call it?
tool.
Protocol, yeah, to like go in and find it and then release it. Like, I mean, I feel like it's different for everyone. Like, I have my own ways of doing that, but like, that sounds super dope. I'd love to be able to introduce that to a lot of my clients, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many people could benefit from that. And yeah, like I find even when I'm starting with someone, like I can sense in their body where they're um holding trauma or fear or tension, anything. Um and just helping them address that while I'm working in that area would be so magical. That sounds so
Mm,
cool.
yes.
I definitely
Yeah, you
need
could
more
you
about
could put a
that.
big chart on your wall and just kind of like you can intuitively be guided what trapped emotions going on, because there's a chart. Um, it's super easy. You can muscle test. There's different methods. There's a sway test. There's a pendulum testing. Then there's finger like muscle testing. Um, and you just kind of feel whatever is aligned for yourself, and go
I'd
with
be
it.
That's so dope, bro. I'd be so curious to see how that aligns with Louise Hay's, so how to heal yourself
Yeah.
affirmations and like how those align. I'd be so curious because that's probably what I lean towards the most because that's what I learned 19 years ago when I was in massage
Mhm.
school. So
Beautiful.
uh-huh. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
I'm heckling. I'm gonna tell my friend about that too because I know she's struggling. I love that you pointed that out. I think one thing that's hard for me is when people are first starting, I feel like I as a person am not able to really guide them to what's best for them because there's so many
yeah.
different
Yeah.
paths created by so many different healers. And
I
so
know.
I love that like part of what I do is like helping that person connect to their higher self so that what is best for them at that point in their life is what comes through because
Yes.
then they have somewhere to start that is going to be best for them and doable for them and that suits their needs best and all the things.
Oh
um
yeah.
but as a human, I'm like, oh, I don't even know. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like that was so long ago for me, and my path is so different than everyone's, especially when it comes to family. Like, I already know I can't help
Yeah.
anybody in my family with anything. Y'all need a healer, go see somebody else. Cause yeah, you ain't gonna listen to me. We already know you
Right?
ain't gonna listen to me. So just go see somebody else. This is her number.
Right.
So
It's so true. But the main part here is healing yourself, recognizing and knowing and feeling that it's in your highest and best good to do this work. to help yourself heal, because we go to healers, we think they could fix us, but then we find out they can't. They just help us along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they light the way. And it's just it's so vital for us to help each other and co-facilitate these healings, because we're giving, like I was given the tools on my healing path. Like, here, those are a good idea. And whatever aligns. And then you're looking into it. Like, maybe you offer the emotion code, which is, there's a body code too. And you can become certified in this. I never became certified. I just used the tool, but you can, if you really want to, you just log in a ton of hours working with yourself and others, and you pay for the course and all that. Um, but offering little gems of information just to start someone off, that may be working for maybe a month, and then they find something else that
Right.
is better suited.
Exactly. I
Mhm.
love I heard this quote recently that a healer is someone that you is not someone that you go to for healing, but that it's someone who triggers in you your own ability to heal yourself. And that
Mhm.
is like everything to me because I have such a hard time calling myself a healer. Like it still doesn't feel comfortable. I usually don't refer to myself in that way
Yeah.
because I don't believe that I'm healing anyone. I'm a human. Like I have my own crap going on. It's source that's healing them. And I'm simply a channel for that. It is themselves learning how to heal themselves and I'm simply like a tool that they can use to get there. But I one massage, I'm not going to heal anybody in a massage. Like I might help, but I'm not going to do all that healing for them. I might
Yeah.
help their body facilitate or their mind or their soul facilitate, but it ain't on me. That's my thing. Is like it's
Mhm.
just reminding them of their own abilities. Like we forget that as humans, we are freaking phenomenal, magical, beautiful beings that can heal ourselves completely on our own or with plants or we don't need all this extra. It's all within us. Like once we identify the things. I was just telling somebody yesterday, he's like, oh, oh, so and so do da, 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 da. And it's like always, and I kept being like, yeah, but what about, let's bring it back to us. Like, what is it making us feel, right? What is it making you feel? It's all about you and doing your healing. Because as soon as you do that work, as soon as you look at that stuff that is uncomfortable and you heal it and you forgive yourself or forgive everything around it, then you ain't gonna see that stuff coming into your life again anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen because you've done the healing inside you that was needed. It's not about what everyone else is doing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the resonance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's like your energy body is the conduit of the healing, and it's the resonance that people feel with the healer. That's like the alignment process. It's boosting their field. It's entrainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we raise our vibration, we're helping everyone else around us raise their vibration just by entrainment.
Yep.
So, and by the words that we say that help, that spark the inner interest and wonder. And yeah, the wonderment is huge. And that's really what lights the fire on the path of awakening, the path of self-healing, and the path of ascension.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a path. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's amazing, and it's ever all the words, for how freeing it is. But of course, you don't feel that all the moments. You have to work through all the layers of conditioning we've been put under. And when you step back and look at it, it's quite immense, right? All the
Totally.
programs of this from society, from culture.
Ooh, I like that. Well, that's even sometimes part of what has created or fed these um I like the way you said it, negative attachments, or is that what you called it? Attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is these the programming, right, of fear into us. So when
Yeah.
we're constantly being fed a thousand reasons a day to fear,
Yeah.
it's just feeding these negative attachments to fear more and more and more and more and more and more. And it takes a while and it takes a lot of practice or lot of different healing modalities to get rid of those. And I don't know that they ever go away. I don't know that we ever heal ourselves completely to not fear anything. But it's just a beautiful work in progress when you do start to do healing things and you feel, see this aspect of your life getting better because, I mean, profoundly better because of the healing work that you've done.
Yeah.
And yeah, just all the things. It's a beautiful thing.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's really, really fun working with people that are just starting out on the path.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, I agree. That is fairly
So,
fun.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like deja vu in a way because you're like, oh, I so recognize where you are.
Uh-huh. Yep, exactly.
And you just
For
send
sure.
them love and like and give them all the encouragement
Yeah,
because
definitely.
everyone can do it.
Yeah. Let's
Um,
let's try to end here with some just like a word of wisdom. Maybe even just mentioning some if you're in a harsh place or a dark place. I love that you mentioned the emotion code. That's beautiful. But like just some other tools that we might mention to people to who might be facing dealing with uh any kind of negative energy around them and how to not just clear themselves but like just tools that you can use. So
mhm,
like one of the things I know is solfeggio. I never know if I'm saying that right.
mhm,
Solfeggio, brainwave. There's so many beautiful like sound therapies that you can do, sound healing, crystal bowl healing. On YouTube, I sleep with like actual sound waves, solfeggio tunes, I believe it is.
yeah,
Um, in the background. That's a beautiful way. I also, when I'm doing dishes or getting ready for the day, I listen to affirmations or subliminals for how I'm about to make it a great day.
yeah,
I would say with that to be careful because some of those even have some either wrongly worded things where they're saying I don't want to go too far into that, but just be
yeah,
using your discernment and like making sure that you're using that something that's super wholesome, asking your team to only let you be introduced to something that's of love and light and that can improve your state.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd say
beautiful.
those are easy helpers.
Hmm. Yeah, and what I have been practicing, which I find probably the easiest, is claiming your sovereignty is probably the utmost importance when you're feeling pretty crappy or every day. It doesn't matter what kind of state you're in. It's just reaffirming your sovereignty and saying, I am love, I am light, I am whole, I am complete,
I'm
and
free.
I am free. I am like just I am love alone. It sets you up with like intending and so shall you be. So you vibrate out at that and it just helps ripple out. But grounding really is important because most of us are ungrounded and we forget about this aspect of our body that's electric. We can see the physical only. We know we have a mental body because we think and we have these beliefs. But we also have an electric body, which our emotional body is electric, and we feel things. And so we have to root our energy body into the center of the earth, and so by doing that daily, maybe once or twice, I mean, in the beginning, just doing it once and just the intention
Yeah.
and breathing into that current of energy going to the center of the earth and then feeling it, opening your crown and opening and just intending for the energy to go to the sun, whatever you want. I find that to be super helpful
Yes.
because then you're grounded. You are like, every house on the planet is grounded to the earth because it has to be. Other things, then the electricity gets fried somewhere, right? So we
Yeah.
do the same things with our body. We fry ourselves out. That's why our nervous system gets fried. We
Yeah.
have our adrenals fried because we didn't know to ground.
Right.
I wish we were taught this in school, right?
Yes, for real.
Um,
I
but
love
grounding,
that you mentioned that. Thank you.
yeah. because that's really what helped me save myself. Because I was quite anxious in my early awakening days, and just being a mom of three kids and very young, and oh, it's just it was wild. So, but grounding really, really was like a major player in my sanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
love so that anytime I'm meditating or doing any kind of work with anyone, anything, I probably do this like at least 3 times a day. Or any chance I get, really. If I'm outside and the sun's out, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll connect in that way. If I'm outside
mhm.
and it's I can connect to the earth in some way, I'm doing it, like it's
Yeah.
just an automatic thing now. But like starting out, it's the most helpful thing to do, period. I just feel like it's if you can actually take a minute to do it regularly, at least once a day, it's transformational because you have that energy to release. I also want to say too, um if you haven't heard of human design, that's also a really beautiful way to connect with who you are and how you function and through the world more naturally so that you can start to kind of fall into your innate beingness a little bit more comfortably than kind of trying to be a part of the norm. If you're not like a manifestor or a generator and you're a projector, you may need more time to rest, or vice versa. You may need less time to rest and more time to do. And so I think that's been something that's been super helpful on our journey most recently, a tool that we've used a lot. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, very good. I know we can really talk for days on
I
this.
know. I was just thinking that as I was talking, I was like, bro, there's like 20 other things I could say right here.
I know, I know. We'll just keep it simple and just
Yes.
leave it there.
Yes, for sure.
More to talk about later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I think that's good for us. If you want to find us, we can find Amy at Embracing Essence and Allie at Earthly Me. Thank you guys so much for joining us for episode, what was this, 3 today?
This is three.
Okay, girl, we doing it. Yes.
Very good. All right. Well, I'm glad you're checking this out, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, you guys have a great one.
Thank you. Bye bye.